What's going on, guys? And I'm a bit behind schedule on this one, but welcome back to part 3 of my journey to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Today I am going to be talking about Mission Impossible 3 from 2006, a film which is better than I remember, although in my opinion it's still kind of mid as far as Mission Impossible films are concerned. Starting off with what I like about this film, for the first time in this series, Ethan Hunt feels like an actual character. Now, there are a few odd moments where it hard cuts from a scene of him mourning the loss of his fallen comrade or fearing for the life of his wife, to a scene of Tom Cruise pulling off his classic goofy grin, but I understand why he's doing what he's doing. He has a personal stake in the plot this time around. Although it is mildly hilarious that they completely discarded Tandy Newton from the previous film, reinforcing how pointless Mission Impossible 2 really was in the long run, Ethan's wife in this film, Julia, is the first female character in this series with agency. There's a lazy scene at the beginning introducing you to her and Ethan's relationship, where they essentially just exposition dump you with a bunch of information about her, and from that point on, it seems like she's being used purely as a damsel in distress, but at the end of the film, she picks up a gun and kicks some serious ass, taking down one of the ultimate threats. This film maintains a very strong energy throughout, making it a far more entertaining and engaging experience than the previous film, which just had no idea what it wanted to be. There's a real sense of tension during the action scenes because there's almost always something at stake. At the beginning of the film, Ethan and his team must infiltrate a building to rescue one of his former trainees, and once they recover her, they learn of an explosive planted inside her brain, which they must try and disable, while also trying to avoid getting shot down by an enemy helicopter. And around the midpoint of the film, a ticking clock is introduced, as the main villain kidnaps Julia and threatens to kill her if Ethan does not deliver him what is essentially the main MacGuffin, the rabbit's foot, in 48 hours. Speaking of our main villain, played by none other than Philip Seymour Hoffman, he is quite easily the best antagonist we've seen in this series up until this point, because he is cold, calculating, and completely in control. There's a brilliant scene on a plane once he's been captured by Ethan's team, where they try to interrogate him, but rather than telling them anything, he goes on and on about how he's going to hurt Ethan's wife, and Ethan resorts to far more severe methods of interrogation, which do nothing but give Hoffman's character exactly what he wanted: Ethan's name. It's actually kind of bizarre going from the previous film, where all the characters were exaggerated caricatures, to this one, where most of them act how normal people would in stressful situations. This was J.J. Abrams' first movie, and funnily enough, it's probably still his best. I might prefer Star Trek personally, but that's more for sentimental value than any other reason. Most of his filmography consists of ripoffs or remakes of older, better movies, just with a lot more lens flare. They didn't quite nail the formula with this film, but you can see that this is where the seeds were planted for this to become the franchise we all know and love today. Simon Pegg's character, Benji, makes his first appearance here. He's only in 2.5 scenes in the entire film, and Pegg's performance is much more subdued than usual, but it did pave the way for him to become the mainstay of the series that he is now. Likewise, this film introduces the concept of Ethan being torn between his connections with those he cares about and his commitment to the IMF, as well as the idea that his occupation is harmful to those around him, which carries over into the rest of the films, especially Fallout. I can't decide if this is a good or bad thing, but Lawrence Fishburne is hilarious in this film. His line delivery is actually really funny.
I don't care if your daddy plays golf with the president. This is intelligence.
Mr. Musgrave, please don't interrupt me when I'm asking rhetorical questions.
You can look at me.
judgmental, incriminating eyes all you want.
But it feels like he belongs in a completely different movie that takes itself far less seriously than this one does. Moving on to what I don't like so much, circling back, it is good that Ethan feels more like a character here. His relationship with his wife gives him a clear motivation and makes him feel much more human. However, that side of the story is pretty heavy-handed and cheesy. Yet again, it is a Mission Impossible movie, so I don't know what you'd expect. The film also focuses way too much time on moments that aren't nearly as powerful as it thinks they are. For example, at the beginning of the film, once Ethan fails to disarm the explosive in his former trainee's head and she dies, we have a drawn-out scene of the team realizing they failed their mission and Ethan cradles her dead body in his arms. Even after that, we're given a funeral scene intercut with flashbacks of Ethan training her, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, thanks for showing me that, but I still don't really care. Even at the end of the film, after Julia has used a defibrillator to disable the explosive charge in Ethan's head, we have a slow-mo scene with sad music playing as she tries to resuscitate him, and I don't know, maybe that scene would have been more powerful back in the day, but come on guys, he's the protagonist, obviously he's not dead. And Ethan is a massive idiot in this film, even more so than usual. He gets married literally right before going on an ultra-dangerous mission to apprehend a psycho arms dealer, and later gets in a limo belonging to said arms dealer and decides to drink an unknown substance which leaves him incapacitated, giving the villains time to inject a bomb up his nose. That's a big brain move right there. But that's about all I have to say about Mission Impossible 3. That's 3 movies down and 3 more to go until Dead Reckoning comes out in July, so stay tuned for my review of Ghost Protocol in May. And let me know what you thought of my review of Mission Impossible 3. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Just whatever your thoughts are, please let me know them all in the comments below. And of course, as always, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.